guys, I hope you're all doing well. Just having a look at Bitcoin here today. So we're just going to be doing a weekly recap on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, and maybe some Shiba if we have time. So today we're just looking at the 4-hour chart. So the 4-hour, so the new day opened about 4 hours ago, exactly almost. So we had a new daily candle open. So the last 4 hour has been quite red. We do have some bearish momentum starting here. You can see we have a cross down of the zero line. We got an inflection here, red bar starting. The slope here is pretty negative to negative infinity. And we also have the default RSI starting to move below neutral. So we did cross below neutral here. So 50's around there. So we did get a cross from above neutral to below neutral. We are starting to see a little bit of the shorter time period indicators starting to get a little oversold. The blue's just starting. Perhaps we may see a little bit of reversion. But looks like as far as the 4 hour goes, we do have the default starting to cross down. It hasn't crossed over yet. We'll have to see if that's going to continue. We'll have a look at the bigger time frames to get a better picture. So we do have a little bit of bearish momentum starting here, a little bit here. We had a cross from overbought heading back to neutral of the shorter time period indicators. Nothing here really looking for sure because we do have the RSI almost at neutral. So no for sure signals going there. We do have a red day starting though. That started today, July 5th, that opened in Asia and like Australia, Oceania, New Zealand. That started, I guess, at 5, but the forex markets and stuff, like the futures markets, like gold and stuff, that opened up at 2, I believe, my time. So would have been 5 p.m. New York time, and the new day for cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and stuff, that started at 8 o'clock New York time, or 5 p.m. if you're on the Pacific time. And if you're overseas, I'm not sure exactly when that started. So we'll just have a look at the weekly. Sorry, I have a little bit of pop-up come up on my screen. Okay, it's gone. Microsoft Weather making a pop-up. Okay, so we do have the weekly chart here. Let me remove all these lines. We still haven't had this default RSI cross back down into oversold yet. So we are at 44, so almost another halfway down from neutral. So we'll have to see how much more we're going to go. And also, of course, we could diverge for a little bit as well. Because you can see last time when we got to about 40, it still went, where is that? 40, yeah, basically that's where it is. We still went down for another almost a year. That's like 10 months, so we could still be going down for a little bit. Not a little bit, I guess a long time, but again, I think we could, I guess it's not always the same, right? So we could see something different. But here there's no for sure signs. Again, we have drifted a little bit far away from the middle Keltner band. We're below the moving average 9. Nothing here for sure, so we'll just go to the monthly. So from the monthly, we had a new monthly candle open since the last time we spoke. So another red bar heading down. So another bearish inflection. So you can see this peak here compared to the peak. So this was the last month here in June. where we closed, the histogram was there, whatever number that is on the right side. Negative 234 or negative 2348 or something. Negative 2306. Maybe that's not right. Yeah, I don't think that's right. 2306. Yeah, actually that might be right. 2306. And then on this one you can see it's at, where is that? 4406, a negative number, so negative 4406. So you can see that inflection here went to negative infinity. It closed lower, the slope moved down lower. You can see the slope here. That's also a negative slope. We have the cross down. This is a second month, and this is the faster MACD. The default MACD hasn't even crossed down yet. So same idea here. This pink bar closed at 2600. It's a positive number, and this pink bar opened at does that say 15? 1573. So you can see there was a inflection here, and it closed lower. So the number overall, if you average these two numbers, this one's lower. So it's less than this number. So it has a bearish continuation, and the slope is still headed to negative infinity, and you can see these two lines are still far apart. There's no cross yet. We haven't even had a cross. There's no cross, hasn't even started yet. So there's nothing, no cross here. We do have the shorter time period indicator starting to get a little bit oversold, but it has gotten lower in the past. But again, of course, we could see some more downward movement, maybe if we go a little bit down more and a little bit up, a little bit down, kind of the same idea as what happened here last time. Of course, it won't be the same, but this was the last bull run, and that was the bear run. So you can see, you can kind of get an idea of what's going to happen. So we could see the shorter time period indicator, the red line, perhaps do something like this, right? Not for sure, but possibly it could do something like this, and that blue line could get much lower first as well. So it's at 40, and it can come down to about 18. So there's, like I said, there's at least another half of a run to go down from where it is now and where it was at the top. So if it was at 65 and it came down to 30, then I think we could probably get down to 15 at least. And if we move lower from there, it could move down maybe below 10 or something. Maybe around 6. I'm thinking 6 would probably be the max min. And if, like, pretty for sure, of course it could break down more, depending if there are more regulations and stuff and all that. But I'm thinking 6 is a pretty good, you can see like the support here. 2 to 6 I'm thinking, I don't think it definitely wouldn't go below 2 or 6. 2 to 6. 2 to 6,000 I don't think it would go below, because there is some strong support there. You can see that we've had some pretty strong support at that area, and that goes back for a while. Again, there's some more support back here. Whoops. There's more support here at 1. There's quite strong support at that area. Like for that to break to here would be like, need something crazy to happen. I don't think it would. I'm pretty sure it would hold 2 to 6. Again, unless it actually broke this RSI support here. It's unlikely, but it's possible, of course. Was it exact last time where it bounced? Whoops. Was that 43? 44. So it did get a little bit lower last time, so it's possible that it could get a little bit lower. I guess maybe, of course we could always always get oversold on the monthly RSI at some point, whether that's now or in another decade, who really knows. But we do know that there is pretty strong support at that level, at least for a trade, right? At least for a swing trade, some kind of swing trade, for a year or whatever. That's so anything, you know, trading for or investing for a decade or 5 years, that's kind of, I don't really talk about that too much. I'm kind of more just in the monthly. Perhaps the longest I'm going is a year or two. I'm not really going 5 to 10 years. But in that case, we did, from the last low, we did break here. And then we had, so you can see from this low, from this peak here, we did break from that 44 to 43. And you can see these highs are getting lower overall as well. So we could see something different happening over the next decade or half a decade, whatever. We could see something new forming. Eventually maybe we could get down here, at least down there. That could take, you know, maybe another 20 or 30 years. Maybe 10, 20 years we could be getting down here for this chart to reset, because of course every chart has to reset at some point. So if there was a yearly, if there were yearly candles on this that we could see, because I don't have premium anymore, we get a bigger picture of what this kind of, these lower lows are saying overall. But anyways, just for, you know, for the next year or two, whatever, a year at least, we could see that there is some more room to that middle Keltner. So what happened here? 26. So it kind of evened out a little bit, but I guess because it closed. See, have a look. This low was at 27, and then now we're at 34. So when it opened, we opened at 34. So if we continue down, if we break this to the downside and get some more lower action, these numbers will average down again. We still have the volume moving lower. So we had the heavy buy volume, fading off, and then we had the sell volume increase, and then now the volume overall is just starting to dump here. So, you know, we could see some more red months, but again, we did say there could be a little bit of reversion here, since these shorter time periods are getting a little bit oversold. We could see maybe something back up for that red line to come back up to neutral or something like that. Maybe here or something, whatever, something like that, right? But right now, we do have this, of course, that inflection here, and the default MACD hasn't even inflected yet, so perhaps we might see an inflection first to the downside before we see anything else really happen, because of course the default algorithm has to, of course, cross down first. So that would pretty much bring us a lot lower than where we are now. If we're at 34, and that's still quite far from that line, like a 2,000 point gap between, even before it even crosses over, and MACD support is back here, then this could easily get into the low 20s before it even, okay, no, maybe like, I think by the time it crosses, it'll get at, maybe it'll cross down below 25. I'm thinking maybe 25. It's going to cross down. Then we'll see some more down action for a while. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a good time to buy still. We still have this crossing. Like, that's a huge inflection. Look at the inflection compared to this one, though. That's the interesting part. Look at that inflection here. Right, the slope here, and then look at that inflection here. It's so much steeper. Like the slope, it's more down. The angle of it is more towards, it's more negative. Like, it's more towards negative infinity. If you don't really understand what that means, it just means it's more, if you were to look at a number scale going down, this would be on the more negative side than this. This could be like a -10, and this could be like a negative, like 70 or something, negative 60, something like that much more times to the negative side. That slope is compared to that one. So you have a look. That peak to that peak. See? Look at the mouse. Look at that slope, right? Now look at this slope. Look at the angle of it. Look at this one. It's much more steeper. So you can see there's more selling pressure here, and it hasn't even crossed over yet. So that's why I'm saying this could still be going down for a while. That's why I'm thinking it could be going back down like to here. There's a lot of momentum in that slope. So we'll move to Ethereum now. So we have the new monthly candle open. We'll just quickly go over this. So we have the red candle open from a few days ago. It had a little bit of a low, no new breaks. We haven't had any breaks also with Bitcoin. No lower breaks to the downside. We haven't seen the faster MACD crossover yet. We haven't seen the default even inflect. So again, Ethereum's moving slower than Bitcoin at this point. Default RSI hasn't even crossed over the overbought heading back to neutral. So this is moving much slower. It's still inflecting. It hasn't inflected yet. So not a good time to buy. We still are far away from that line, and support is much more down. I guess it's by the middle band, middle Keltner channel. I kind of think of it as an average price. It's still down there. A lot of volatility to the upside. Yeah, the monthly's pretty clear here. So you can see from the weekly, it's just going to be perhaps showing some reversion. We do have some, for this week, we do have some momentum heading to the downside. We got a red week starting. Inflection, a little bit of bullish momentum on the faster MACD, but denoted by the histogram, but could that be fading out? Of course, the blue can always flash to a red, so it's not for sure, of course. These signals aren't the strongest signals to be going off. Same idea here, that this inflection could also inflect up if that candle was to go green. So there's nothing for sure here to go off, but that is a little bit of a strong slope. And we got to cross the shorter time period over the default RSI. So nothing for sure. Again, that can, if that goes green, that can cross up, depending on the shorter time frames. Pretty much in that center area, by the center band, Keltner channel, by the EMA2 and EMA9, it's pretty much sticking right up against everything right there. Red day starting here. A little bit of bearish momentum starting on both MACDs. And we got the cross of the, when the new day started, I guess it crossed over bought heading, but it's now back at neutral. Default RSI is right about at neutral. Maybe just gonna cross down perhaps. 4 hour is having some cross down momentum. Would have started. We would have seen that if I made this video a little bit sooner. My apologies. Might see a little bit of reversion starting. We might see a little bit of movement back up, just for the shorter period, like on the 15-minute before it continues down. But again, we do have a little bit of more crossing down action, so we might see a little bit more. Let's see how the shorter time period reversion is looking. See, this is what I mean. This is oversold now, so perhaps we might see the default RSI maybe come back up to at least neutral before, if it wanted to continue down, or even up here. So these are kind of the day trading time frames, and it's possible that could be true. How's the hour looking? A little bit of bullish momentum starting. Perhaps we did drift below the middle Keltner band, so we might see a little bit of reversion to the upside. Just a bit. Same idea here, where we've started to drift far from the middle band, but there's not too much points to 2300, only about 50 points, so nothing too drastic there. About 50 points there too on the 1 hour. And almost at that line, at the average line, middle band area, a little bit far from the MA9, but middle Keltner is quite close here, nothing too drastic. Same idea with the 4, perhaps we might see some crossing down as the next few days go. So nothing for sure here on the daily. Weekly pretty sticky to that middle line. And again, monthly we have drifted quite far away with some more momentum to the downside. Excuse me. So we'll talk about Doge. I think Doge we said was moving the slowest. Excuse me. So we did get the low of like 15. We talked about that. We had a little bit of reversion after the low of 15. We had a little bit of reversion to the upside. We've come up to the Keltner channel. Actually, we middle band almost exact, and we've continued kind of bounced off. There's some bearish momentum starting here. A little bit of bearish momentum starting here. A little bit of bullish momentum starting on the weekly, but again the default is just starting to cross down, so we'll have to see if that would last. But again, we do have the shorter period time frame coming a little bit oversold, so we could see a little bit of reversion, at least back up to neutral. It's possible, not for sure, but it's possible, or something like this, like maybe up to there or something. So a little bit of reversion, perhaps. But it's not for sure though, so be careful, because the monthly is pretty clear what it wants to do. It hasn't even crossed down, it hasn't even touched here, so there's a lot of room for that to touch, to cross down. That's the very, very steep slope to negative infinity. That's a very strong inflection. And again, if it crosses, it could be crossing down for a while, right? Six months, and that's a faster one. So look at this one. This one crossed down. How many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 before it even had some bearish, some divergence, and another long time before it ever crossed back up. So that's a long time. That's January 2018 to April 1st, 2020. 2 years and 4 months on that one cross down at the high point. There's the high point. So this could be, look at that, right? That could be going for a long time. So be careful, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.